Want to cover this thing about Monolith Studios shutting down?
Sure. So, uh, so recently well, I guess going back a bit, a few weeks ago we talked about how the Wonder Woman game has, uh, production was being restarted because of, you know, they thought they said they were going to redesign everything and build everything from the ground up. Well, Warner Brothers Games has come out and said that the game is canceled out. It's completely gone. And not only that, but they are shutting down three studios as well. Monolith Productions, which is the studio that was making Wonder Woman, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. And this was something that was originally announced by, I believe this was Jason Schreier. But here's the I guess, full statement that was made. We have had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones. After careful consideration, we are closing three of our development studios Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. This is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them. The development of Monolith's Wonder Woman video game will not move forward. Our hope was to give players and fans the highest quality experience possible for the iconic character, and unfortunately, this is no longer possible within our strategic priorities. This is another tough decision, as recognized Monolith's storied history of delivering epic fan experiences through amazing games. We greatly admire the passion of the three teams and thank every employee for their contributions. As difficult as today is, we remain focused on and excited about getting back to producing high quality games for our passionate fans and developed by our world class studios and getting our games businesses back to profitability and growth in 2025 and beyond. Now, I've got my thoughts when the matter, but I want to hear your thoughts on this first.
Well, I guess I can't say I'm surprised this is happening. I think it sucks that it's happening because, well, between the fact that the idea of a Wonder Woman game with the Nemesis system sounded really interesting, and the fact that typically they've made some solid games. Monolith has made some solid games. I'm a bit disappointed from that standpoint. Now, I can't say that like Wonder Woman as a character, as a superhero, like I cared that much about it, but I was certainly willing to give it a shot. And I thought that the Nemesis system that was introduced in Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, and that was also in Shadow of War, was a really cool system, and I really liked it. With this shutting down, though, that system goes away. Basically, they had it was a patent, I believe, something along those lines, where nobody else could use that system except for them, and it's locked down for 10 years, or at least 10 years from whenever they locked it down. So I think that part is also very disappointing. I wish that there were more examples of studios where they could actually just pass off a project to someone else if it's having issues. I understand why they're not, but I don't know. I was just looking for something that would be interesting from these studios. And it's not as though I have to have these games, because right now I have too many games to play already, and I will continuously have too many games to play regardless of that. And it's not like I was hyped about this game by any stretch. I mean, the game was announced at the Game Awards in 2019, and we haven't seen anything since then, or at least I think it was 2019. It was either 2019 or 2021. It might have been actually 2021. But either way, it's been a while since it was announced, and you know, the recent thing about it having a reboot, it's like, okay, you know, that's a bummer, but it is what it is. But yeah, now it's just straight up canceled, and the studio's closed, And I don't know those other studios. Like, do you know what games they had developed? Because I didn't look into it.
Um, Player First did Multiverses. I don't remember
Okay,
what the Warner Brothers San Diego did.
gotcha. Yeah, so I don't know. It's I don't really know what else to say. I guess that's all I really have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are several things here that make me wonder what are they saying? I mean, for one thing, in their statement talking about they want to focus on the different key franchises, and saying Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, and DC. I'm like, well, Wonder Woman's DC. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I mean, you're literally canceling a DC game right there. But they're probably thinking about, well, we're gonna focus on our speculatively more profitable, I guess you could say, franchise. Like, there's a rumor that they're going to be making another Batman game, which, I mean, I feel like at this point might be a little bit too late, because a lot of people are kind of soured after Suicide Squad, which is probably around the time when they said we much would rather have had a Batman game than Suicide Squad, especially with the way the game was designed, and other aspects of the game as well. So like, I feel like at this point gamers are going to be very aversive to what could be coming out. I mean, granted, that was made by Rocksteady, and granted, even then, it wasn't even by the original Rocksteady developers who actually made the Arkham games. But that focus, it's probably a bit too late for that. I mean, to a degree, also, some people might even say, yeah, we've had plenty of Batman games, but how about you actually try something new and different? I mean, sure, similar to you, Wonder Woman was not something that I was anticipating or looking forward to, but at the same time, it at least was something different, or at least it was going to be something different. And I mean, for one thing, also, I still would like to see a Superman game, because maybe there are a few here and there that are decent, but there hasn't been one truly definitive, this is a great Superman game. I mean,
Superman 64, come on. You gotta fly through those rings and get beat up by regular criminals.
Well, and then of course, you have Superman Returns, where the final boss is a tornado. You have to fight that. But, we haven't had any actual definitive Superman game. I mean, I feel like there was one based on the animated series, which wasn't Superman 64. That was on like the PS2 and GameCube, but I think that one at best was just decent. So, I really wanted to see him actually get a good game. But, maybe not, if Warner Brothers thinks, well, we're just going to go with what works, which is just make more Batman games, which, I mean, unless they're going to continue and like maybe do what people wanted, which was like do Batman Beyond, which part of me still would like to see that happen. I feel like it's really overplayed if you're just gonna say, all right, we're just gonna make a new Batman game, and it's sort of like circumventing the events. Like, if we're gonna do like a soft reboot, or do something like, say, a continuation like with Gotham Knights, I don't see how people are really gonna be getting too excited about it. But still, just try something different. That's what I would say. But it really does suck with Monolith being shut down, because they have had, in the past, they've made these games. Of course, they made Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. But then going back further, they made the Condemned Criminal Origins games. They also did, which I'm really disappointed about this, because there's literally no way for me to play this game, because since it was, I think the game was just never ported to PC, which is why I can't play it. Which was these FPS games called No One Lives Forever, which was just sort of like a sort of like spy FPS game, sort of like in a vein of I guess you could say a sci-fi-ish vein of James Bond, essentially. That aspect. So I heard those were some fun games. I wanted to try those games, but they never got PC versions, surprisingly, and they also never got any sort of remaster remake. So they're pretty much just very old. I think they were on like PS2 and original Xbox titles. And, you know, I've heard they're good, but, you know, nothing's happened with them. And like you said, I think one of the greatest crimes here is that the Nemesis system, which was stuck only with Wonder Woman at this point, is not going to be used. And also, I also did go back and check. The patent expires in 2036. So we've got another 11 years to go before any other company can use the Nemesis system, which sucks. I mean, and it really just stifles creativity in the gaming sphere as a whole, because, you know, if we have something that works and it's something new, it's different, it's fresh, and, you know, even if it's just like something small and something that, if the game is just something that is common, I mean, take the Souls games. I mean, they're essentially just action RPGs, but the elements that make those games are unique enough that it's its own experience, that it's its own subgenre in a sense. So imagine if From Software said, we're going to patent all these mechanics, so, you know, no one else can use these mechanics but us. We would never have a whole slew of games. Like, we wouldn't have I mean, we would still have Neo technically in a sense, because, I mean, if Koei Tecmo just removed a lot of those elements, it would essentially just be a different version of Ninja Gaiden. But, you know, to a degree, we wouldn't have Neo. We wouldn't have Lies of P. We wouldn't have a lot of the 2D types of the games, like Salt and Sanctuary. And man, I'm oh gosh, there's the new one, Elder Lilies. And then a lot of other games. We wouldn't have these games because of the fact, if, you know, From Software said it's decided we're gonna patent our mechanics, like, and I really hate it when that happens. And going back even further to the like early 2000s, Bandai Namco did that with mini games or loading screens. And so, like, you know, it was a cool thing, you know, playing your game and, like, while the game's loading, having these little mini games you play while doing that. They patented it, so no other game company can do it. I mean, it's not a big thing in the grand scheme of things since it's just a loading screen, but think of how many games, you know, it would have been fun to do something while you're waiting for the game to actually load in.
Yeah.
So, like, I really cannot stand when mechanics are being patented, because it just stifles the creativity of what developers can do. And I mean, especially if there's something that is cool, it catches on, and, you know, people find ways to even make new ways to use those mechanics. It just stifles things in the long run. So I really hate Warner Brothers for doing that. But, you know, all in all, though, to summarize, it's just a sucky situation, and I'm not thrilled with many aspects of this.
Yeah. But I guess it is what it is, and there's not really anything more we can say. So.